Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and this is tutorial 247 of our hack and slash tutorial series. So in our last tutorial, we went ahead and made a little list here. Let me just pull it back on screen of the basics of how we want our mob AI to work. So let's go ahead and open up Unity and let's start implementing all this. So I'm going to go ahead, open up Unity, and I guess I should have made sure it was centered, and we'll do the same thing with MonoDevelop, which is opening up on another screen. So we'll go ahead. There we go. And well, to start off with, let's just see what we have so far. So if we take a look here, we want to make sure that it's spawned under a spawn point. Initiates, or it starts off at init, starts the init method. So let's just go ahead and start this up. And since we do have our debug log statements in there, we should be able to see exactly what's happening. So there we go. Let's move this list over here. So we're into the start method. And we don't actually have it saying that it's setting it to init, but if we actually go ahead and look at the code, it probably is doing that for us. So yeah, we're setting it to init. Then we start the coroutine of the Finite State Machine. So that's working. We already got this one done. Next, we want to run the init to make sure everything is initialized properly, then set the state to setup if so. So we go through, we look. It goes through init, and it looks like it is setting everything up fine because we're getting into setup. So we'll run setup. If everything's fine, it's supposed to switch us over to idle. Now this is something I wanted to change. I believe we were using a variable called alive, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm actually going to shrink this down. As you can see here, here's the variable right here. The init, everything should be fine. Yep, we're taking a look to make sure everything's there, okay. Right here, we're setting alive defaults, and then we're setting the state to be search. I'm actually going to get rid of this line here, and I'm going to change what the state is. It's now going to be idle. And I'm going to come up here at the very top where we have all our variables, and wherever alive is, I'm actually just going to get rid of it. Now this is going to cause a few errors because it's probably has a few spots where it's using that variable, and since we don't have it defined anymore, but we'll take care of those as they pop up. And I'm going to come down to my Finite State Machine function here, and in the while statement here, what I want to say is state. Actually, what's our variable? Our variable is underscore state, so that's fine. Underscore state does not equal state, or AI state, idle. So while we're not in the idle state, run our finite state machine here. And of course we have to get rid of that debug statement because it works with the alive variable. Of course you could just switch it over to the new variable here, but that's okay. Let's go ahead, we'll save this off, we'll go back into Unity, see where these errors pop up for the alive variable. We have one more down here, and this is the on trigger enter and the on trigger exit is probably where we're going to want to play with these. So I'm going to come down and let me see. We're checking to see if the tag is equal to compare. So right here is where we actually want to set the state to be searching. And we'll get rid of the alive true. And later on when we're down here, after we have our character returning home after the player's exited, we'll want to go ahead and set the state back to idle. But for now, we're not going to do it here. I'm just actually going to get rid of that line. Let me see here. That should be okay for the errors now. So they're all done. And let's go ahead. I'm going to drag my list back in. And we'll take a look here. So we now have it set to idle. The next is sit and wait until the player gets within range, or as we're detecting with the on trigger enter. Set the state to be search when they are within range. So let's go ahead. And I'm actually going to take a look on the on trigger enter just to see if that's exactly how I have it now. So on trigger enter, we do have a debug statement to debug out exactly what it is that's colliding with us. And then we're going to check to see if the tag on whatever's colliding with us is a player. And if it is, then of course we set the target to be our player's transform. We set the state to search, and we start the coroutine. And of course, that's exactly what we wanted here, but let's just go make sure it's running like that in game. So we'll start it up, and we'll just look at the debug messages when we actually start the game up here. Alright, so we've got up to here the last time. So we've got the double on-trail enters because the colliders are colliding with themselves. And until we get to layers, that's going to happen. But let's just go ahead. I'm going to shrink this down. We'll go through our portal, and let's go run up to our guy and see what's happening. So right now he's doing nothing. He's just standing there, and if we actually had an idle animation set to him, he would just be doing that. And I believe this guy's idle animation is actually just standing there. I guess we could technically just click on him. That would be the, not the beach area, the area spawning ground. Well, let's just click on him. Let's go to the scene view. There he is. Let's just look in on him. I just want to see what his idle animation is. Well, actually, you can see him just in the window here. He does move for his idle animation. It's just at the distance I'm at from him. In the game, you can't actually see it. And if we look at his list of animations, right here, he does have a few on him. Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure he actually had one that he was playing. And I guess you can kind of see him moving a little bit. But anyway, I want to see what happens when I get close. So I'm going to pause it. We'll move this up and we'll go to the top. I should have did it sooner, but we have the on trigger enter, and it's saying that we collided, our PC collided in with our sphere. So it starts up the Finite State Machine. It goes to the search method, and if we go ahead and look at our code, I'm just going to move this over here a bit. So it goes to the search method and jumps into the move. So let's go take a look at our search method and see what we're doing in there. Shrink some of these down that we're not playing with currently. We're done with the setup. So in the search method, we're just debugging out the search, and then we're just calling move and setting the state to attack. If we go ahead and look at our notes, we have it actually looking to see if the player can. We are setting the target properly. That's on the on trigger enter. And let me look down here. We're actually setting the target down here. I'm actually going to leave it setting it down there, since that is the one that's actually tripping our on trigger enter. And for now, we're just dealing with one player anyway. So I'm going to leave that there. We're going to start. So we want to add another state here where it actually has to decide what to do next. So right there. So let's go ahead. We'll go up to the top. And right before attack, we'll just put in, well, now would be the good time to decide what we want to call this state. And I'm just going to call it decide, and decide what to do with the targeted player. And we're going to come down here, and I'm actually just going to cut and paste this right above it. And of course, we'll have to change this to decide. And the function we'll call will be decide. And that means we'll actually have to make the function, which is going to be, I'm going to put it right before attack. So private void decide does not take anything in. We'll just cut and paste this for now. And change this to decide. And we'll want to have some sort of routine here to decide what to do. So I'm just going to make a comment for that. Create a routine to decide what to do with the targeted player. For now, we're just going to call move, but I don't think I'm actually going to call move itself. Well, we could. We could either set the state to be move, or we could call move. Now, if we're never actually going to be setting the state itself to move, if we're always just going to be calling the actual function itself, we can actually remove it from, well, never mind, it's not actually up here anyway. But anyway, it's the same thing with attack. If we actually never have the state set to attack or retreat or flee or anything like that, we can actually come up here and remove some of these. Right now I'm not 100% sure, so I am just going to leave it. But the way I'm structuring it right now is I'll probably end up calling that function from the decision down here. But for now we're just going to leave it to move. And again, I'm just going to make one more comment for that. For now, we are just going to move towards the player. And let me see. I'm going to come up here and change the state. Instead of calling move, we can get rid of this in the search, and we'll change the state to decide. And again, up here, make a comment. Do we detect the targeted player yet? If so, whoops, let's put some comments there. If so, set state to decide. Now, by setting the state to decide, that actually means we're not actually going to make our decision until the actual next frame. Now, if you want the decision to be made this frame, instead of setting the state to decide, you would just actually call the method decide. I'm actually going to let it go over to the next frame. Not because I think there's any, like too much processing power being done or anything like that. It's just kind of like a little tweak to give the player a very small advantage. One frame reaction time is not a whole lot. But anyway, I'm going to move that over to the next frame. So I'll set the state there, and I guess we're going to keep going through here. After we've decided we're going to move, let's go back to search. Because well, now we're doing that, we're missing a frame every decision as well. If we leave it at decide, we need a way to break out of it. And the way to break out of it could be if the player gets too far away. So we'd be using the on trigger exit. Yep, right here. Or one of us dies, which could be another one. I think for now I'm just going to switch to search. We might come back and revisit it before we're done this little mini series here, but for now I'm just going to leave it on search, so it just keeps flip-flopping back and forth. And like I said, one frame isn't exactly a whole lot of time. It's not like we're giving the player a monstrous advantage. And it's not really going to slow our AI down that much. Like I said, it's one frame. So if you're running at 30 frames a second, it's not very much at all. Okay, so we got that done. Now we want to decide what to do. Move, for now, that's all we're going to do, and that's what I've done. And here are some of the other options that we'll eventually want to add in. And then we want, when the on-trigger exit fires, return to the spawn point. I'm going to come down here. So we're setting the target to be home, yes. Turn off the Finite State Machine. I don't believe we actually have that yet. And then wait for the on-trigger enter to wake us up again. So we've got all that done so far, well, almost all of it done. Let's go ahead and stop it. I'm going to clear it, and I'm going to start it back up. And of course, when I start it back up, we've already gone over this part, so I'm going to clear it. We'll go in and hop through. Run up to our, oops, I forgot to switch it over to be only the our Dungeon Guardian, but that's fine. So we go in, pause. And if we go ahead and take a look here, let's see, it sees us, it starts it, goes to search, decide, move, search, decide, move, blah, 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 all the way down. All right, so let's unpause it. We'll go ahead, run through the portal again. And as soon as we run through the portal, I want to hit pause. All right, so our on trigger enter did not fire yet. So let's see if do we even have that commented. Let's check. We do on trigger exit. I did not see it go off. If only there was a way to search this. Well, one way to be just to turn off all these other ones, but let's go ahead and start it up. I'm not seeing it. Let's go look at our mob. He's actually still at the portal. And it's because we have that infinite loop going. So we need a way to stop that. So let's go ahead. We'll stop the game. Let's head back over to our code. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and actually comment out all these move, decide, search. Just because I can't see where I'm getting the on trigger exit, and that should be firing. And what was the other one? Decide and move. Right down here. Since we know that's working anyway. Come down here, and I'm actually going to add a line down here that if the player that exited, we're going to set the target to null. Actually, we don't have to set the target to null. We set the target to home. Let's just save that off. Let's leave it like that for now. Let's go back into Unity. There should be no errors. I'm going to go ahead, start it back up. Same thing, we'll jump through. I'm going to hit clear, run over to my mob. And let me see here. It triggers. Make sure he's chasing me. Yep. We don't need that much room anymore. We'll run through. I'm gone. We did get the on trigger exit. Let's go take a look at him. And there he is. He's returning home. Let's go back and enable the search. Well, let's go back and enable all of them. We're done here. And it was on move. So I'm pretty sure it actually doesn't stop once he gets back to his little home. At least I didn't see where it was stopping, but that's something we'll have to fix. I think there's a few more things we want to fix up before we actually start adding more stuff to it. But anyway, I've cleared it. Make sure anytime you click outside of your window, you try to click back in before you actually start doing things. So I'm going to go ahead, run back through the portal. I'm going to go ahead and hit clear. I'm going to wait a bit. And you see it's still going. If we actually go back to the scene view and look, the debug statements seem to stop it. So what I'm actually going to do is in the search method, right up here, I'm actually going to, well, yeah, let's do it in the search. Let's actually debug out the target as well. And I'm just actually going to append it on here. And we'll just throw out the target name. So let's go ahead, we'll jump in. Now we should get the message every time we have something targeted. So we run in. There we go, it's targeting us. And when we run back through, it's targeting the spawn point, but if we go look, he's running back. He did stop. I wonder if it's me switching over to, as we notice that the Finite State Machine is still running. I wonder if it's just me switching back over to the scene view that's screwing him up. Let's take a look without actually doing that. As he should be returning closer to the spawn point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he should be returning pretty much right back to the center of the spawn point. So we run by, he's got us targeted, we're going to run in, hop through the portal. We see that he has a spawn point targeted. And let's jump through. He's not moving though. Okay, well, this video has already run long enough. I'm actually going to pause the video. I'll get ready to start the new one. There's a new, I use ScreenFlow for my recordings. I'm not very happy with the update that I've got. I've updated to ScreenFlow 3, but I noticed that there's actually a new version, an update available to what I'm using. So hopefully that does fix a few of the problems I'm having with the audio quality and just overall just sluggishness. But anyway, I'm going to save this one off and code it, get it uploaded, and then I'm going to start recording the next one, and let's try to figure out exactly what's going on with this the Finite State Machine. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.